Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us here to celebrate International Women's Day. It is a date in the diary we're always keen to support and shine a light on. And as an SU, ensuring that our self identifying female students and members of staff feel visible, valued, and empowered, not just today, but every other day. If you're joining us via Teams or in person, you will have an opportunity to ask questions shortly. So please do have a think about questions you may have and would like to ask. As part of this year's celebration, I'm delighted that former UOB student Megan Murphy has agreed to join us today to share a journey throughout uni and into her career. Megan studied a BA in radio and audio, and alongside her course, worked as a part of the Radio Lab team. Regarding her own programs, she also took on the opportunity to work on a fortnightly news program with the university's press team called Bet's Bulletin. After graduating, Megan continued to explore the path into reporting, working in radio and newspaper in Jersey. Before joining ITV on their traineeship program in 2022, since then, Megan has taken on several roles, new newsrooms before starting as ITV's channel early presenter for Good Morning Britain in July 2022. Alongside this, Megan is also a co-chair of ITV's Diversity and Inclusion Panel, working towards making television and online coverage as diverse and inclusive as possible. So, without further ado, please welcome Megan Murphy. Hi, Megan.
Hello.
Um, Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Amina Awal, the co-vice president here at BETS-SU, and it's wonderful to actually be having this conversation with you because I've seen you on TV. So it's exciting that I'm having this conversation with you right now. So I wanted to ask, I'm going to start by asking you about International Women's Day because that's what we're celebrating today. Um, why do you why do you all people take from marking and raising awareness of this day?
Well, hello everyone. Thank you, Mina, for having me today. Very excited to be back because I think bed's played a huge role in making me the person I am today and allowing me and giving me the opportunities to land essentially dream positions here at ITB back down at home in the Channel Islands. And to be speaking on International Women's Day as well, it's even more special. I think it's really poignant to be able to reflect on the opportunities I had in
Absolutely.
Luton and within the university that have allowed me to progress in my career and hopefully continue to do good things.
Hmm.
In terms of International Women's Day, I think it's such an important day that we all really need to think about. It's really all about recognizing the women in your life, whether those are personal relationships, your mothers, your sisters, your aunties, your cousins, those close familiar bonds, or it's those that you work with, it's those that you study alongside, and just really taking a moment to
Hmm.
understand the pressures from society that women have and maybe the adversity they have to come overcome in the workplace, working harder and really having to put their best foot forward at all times. I think it's so important that we shine a light on women and all the incredible things that they do,
We do,
and
yes.
we should be doing that every day, but it makes it even more special that we have a certain day that we can really shine light on that. But I think
Absolutely.
it's so important for us to reflect on where all of the challenges we've overcome and how far we've come over those years, from
Hmm.
going way back to earning the right to vote to just simple things of seeing more women in power, in positions of authority, and being able to see women taking over typically male dominated industries, male dominated roles, and having a more
Yes.
inclusive and diverse outlook within the
Outlook.
world across all of the borders. So I think it's so important that we shine a light on incredible things that we're doing, but also not to forget that there is so much more that we can be doing, and this is only the start.
Absolutely. Great. Thank you for that, Megan. So this year's theme is inspiring inclusion. That's belonging, relevance, and empowerment. What does this mean to you?
Well, I think with that topic, it's really, it just kind of sums up that we need to make everything we do as representative as possible. And that's especially so in the media industry, really. But
Hmm.
it's also about encouraging people around you, everyone you meet, everyone you deal with, to do more. Because whilst we could be doing a good job in allowing people to feel that they belong to an organization, to belong within a community, that their voices and their opinions are relevant, and that they have
Relevant.
the backing and the empowerment behind them to feel comfortable to make these decisions. I think we can always do more, like I mentioned before. This is
Yes.
only a starting block. The more people back each other and help each other and want people to thrive, it can
Hmm.
only bring benefits to everybody of any gender
Yes.
and in any business. I think we need to make everyday life more diverse and inclusive,
Hmm.
and it's all really about pulling up everyone around you. We want everyone to succeed and not pinning people against each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely agree with you on that because when you tend to support people around you, then it brings positive energy to your community. So definitely I agree with what you're saying. So let's talk about your journey into journalism. You took up a number of opportunities while studying at UOB as well. And while we were catching up earlier, you did tell me a couple of things you were into before becoming the presenter. So how easy was this for you, and were the opportunity equal weighted to female and male students?
Well, I think my experience at Beds, I had and a number of opportunities. There was no doors that were ever closed. If I was interested in something, I was always being signposted to an area to look into or somebody to talk to who may have that valuable experience and expertise to kind of help me within my way. I found that everything was very equal. I was never pitted against my male or female colleagues,
Colleagues.
fellow students. It was very much a level playing field. If I wanted to do something, my gender is not playing a role in that. I'm just a person, and I was able to do what I wanted to encourage myself to develop my skills and learn more about what I want to do. With it's the exact same with Radiolab. I'm Radiolab, when I worked on the team over the 3 years, it was so equally split. We had very equal numbers of our presenters or producers and things like that. And like I said, all the opportunities were so accessible. All you had to do was ask one question, and you were straight away signposted to where you needed to go to find more information about that. And
All right.
I think it's that openness and it's that wanting to have your students succeed, which has really helped me on my way throughout my career,
Mhm.
because I've been able to recognize like genuine people who really want success for me and they want me to do well. And
Yeah.
sometimes that, especially in the media industry, you can find people that aren't always like that. So
Mhm.
to be able to start my career and lay those foundation blocks at Beds with a community of people who want nothing but the best for you,
For
it
you.
really set a precedent in my thought process in my life that I know how to be respected, and I
Mm.
should never expect anything less.
Mm. Absolutely. I'm taking notes, by the way. And one key thing I took from this is you should always ask. So do not be mute. When you need help, ask, and you will be signposted to the right people. That's great.
Exactly.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Megan. All right. So, my next question: what would you advise to any self-identifying female students, to our self-identifying female students who are looking to pursue a career in the media industry? What's that one advice that you'd like to give them?
So, I mean, entering the media industry, like several industries, I imagine, it's not easy. It's
It is
difficult.
not.
the media industry especially is so competitive, and
Hmm.
you're going to be up against floods of people. But it is nowadays in 2024 much easier to break in than it was, say, 10, 20, 30
Years
years
ago.
ago.
Yes.
The opportunities are there, and it's like we were chatting about signposting. You just need to look in the right places, and you should be able to do that. Saying
Mhm.
that, the difficulties do remain. You're always going to have certain industries, certain businesses that may not be as inclusive and as equal. I'm very lucky at ITV that their diversity and inclusion strategy across the entire company is incredible, and they want their business to represent the communities that they are targeting. So whether you're coming from a minority ethnic background, whether you you are a different religion, you have your religious background or disability, they want you to be part of the team,
Part of the
and
team.
they're not going to use that as an excuse.
Hmm.
As a woman in the media industry, I have found personally, I don't know if it's an internal pressure that I've seen from growing up watching women in the industry. I find you have to work very hard to prove yourself. Sometimes it's a bit, oh, I need to make sure that I'm on the grind all the time, never taking a
Yeah.
day off, really wanting to make everything the best as I possibly can. But it is kind of the same for everyone. In the media industry, we're grafters. We don't stop. We want to be the best we can. And
Hmm.
putting in those long hours is the way to do it. Maybe women need to be, they're told they need to be seen as more team players and working as a group. I think we do that just well, but also we're fully capable of leading and being leaders within the industry, which I think is a big shift that's happening now. You're seeing a lot more females moving into these high position powers and taking over from typically male dominated areas, which is so
Hmm.
refreshing to see. And it's, I hope it's nothing but encouraging for people who are coming through the ranks now. Probably in terms of media, I would say one of the main things is those external pressures in the industry. Women in the media, and growing up, I was very aware of this, and now moving into on-screen roles, I'm seeing it myself. Women in media are highly sexualized, and it's a sad reality towards the industry because I'm just a person and I'm just doing my job. And it's sad that still in 2024, this is happening. But I think by having these conversations and breaking down those barriers and really showing people that I'm just a girl and I'm just doing my job, there's nothing more than that. I think that we can really shift this and move into a different area. I know women in all walks of life are said to be very emotional, especially, and when we come to work we're said leave the emotions at the door, but I'm very proud to say that my emotions, I think, make my work far better. When
Hmm.
I'm emotionally attached to a story, I'm able to tell it more coherently, more personally, and instead of acting like that computer, if you really switch the emotion off, because
Yeah.
if you're talking about something as devastating and as sad as some of the things we do,
Hmm.
you want to have that human reaction with it. You don't want to have someone blank faced, cold as anything when you're talking about devastating news. So I think having women in the media really own their emotions and not just completely blanking them and really using them within their work is such a bonus that people often overlook.
Okay. So I would say, according to what you just said, the advice you're giving our female students, self-identifying female students, is to be able to own their emotions, be
Mhm.
creative, and be able to stand on their words, basically.
Yeah, I think standing on your words is only, it's only going to benefit you. You are your own individual person. Do
Yeah.
not turn yourself into a mold of what you think you should be,
Hmm.
because that's what makes us inclusive. That makes the industry inclusive, because if everyone's the same, then what is that? Who does that represent? Nobody. You want those different emotions, those different personalities, because it's only going to reflect better within the industry as a whole.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So the next question I'm gonna ask is, what has been your biggest learning since starting in the media? and the highlights or challenges that you might
So I think
have
I
had.
kind of like touched upon it there, but
Yeah.
really, I think a big thing, especially in the last 18 months, is learning to set boundaries. I said that I want, like, you always want to be the best. You work long hours, you
Hmm.
pull double shifts to really prove yourself as a journalist and as a key member of the team. But setting those boundaries is so important. And I mean, I do think I learned that the hard way. I've dealt with burnout, which is I didn't think I'd have to deal with so early on in my career. And it really took a negative impact on my mental health. And that kind of coming out of that dark place really allowed me to sit there and go, I love my job, but I can only love my job if I look after myself. And that's through setting those boundaries. Because if you're not respecting yourself and not looking after yourself, you're not going to succeed. You cannot do and show your true potential.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to be more cautious on that now. I'm no perfect canvas on that. Like, I'm sometimes I catch myself and I'm like, I'm working a bit out of my depth
Yeah.
here, and I can and you can feel when your body is like screaming at you saying, no, give me a
Hmm.
break, you really need to listen here. So I think that's advice across the board for anyone. I think putting those boundaries in your workplace and really sitting there and thinking, I know working hard makes me happy, but you need to really look after yourself, especially if you're in a fast moving industry that's on the go all the time, like media.
Exactly. Yeah. So, like you're just saying, I personally, I'm a big advocate of having to stop, reset, and restart. Because I believe if you're overworking yourself, I have the saying that a work life is longer than human life. If
Mhm.
anything goes wrong with your health, there would be another person to replace you in minutes. So you have to look after yourself. It is essential that you look after yourself. So yes, I completely agree with what you're saying. So now the next question would be, um, it might be fair to say from a viewer readership perspective, the news industry, it gives us a sense that there is more equality in women taking up roles within the media today. But however, according to Reuters Women in Leadership News and Report 2023, I believe, there's still a significant lack of diversity in the newsrooms and editorial positions as well. Would you say this is a fair comment that I'm making right now? Would you say it's a fair comment?
I think that it is a fair comment. Yes, I think we're moving in the right direction. I mean, in the past couple of years that I've been in ITV, I'm seeing a big change. But saying that, more needs to be done. I think
Yes.
because a lot of senior positions in regional newsrooms still remain with men, white men to be specific, and we're slowly starting to see shifts. A former colleague of mine is taking up a new role in a couple of weeks' time to be the head of news and editorial output for West Country down in Bristol. And he is the first person of colour to take on that role since the early 90s. So I think it's nice to see that we are moving in a positive direction and more is being seen. But like I say, every there's not we're never going to be perfect. We can always strive for
Yeah.
more. So we need to have the media industry representing the communities we serve. So here in the Channel Islands, we try and make our on-screen team as representative for the people who live here as possible. Sometimes it's not as easy as doing that, but we have
Yeah.
quite a big, say, Portuguese community in Jersey. So I know some of our reporters are in their spare time learning Portuguese to better connect with the community that they are serving and to help tell their stories a lot better. So I think that's so important. But also having more women on screen, more ethnic representation, and a wider variety of age. Because without having all of those key components, the audience is not going to relate to your work, especially in television. In
Yes.
newspapers, you can't tell who's reading them. It's just words on a piece of paper. But with television, you want to, when you're hearing people's stories, you want to see people like you. That's how
Yeah.
the message gets across. And that's why it's so important that we make our on screen as inclusive and representative as we can.
Absolutely, absolutely. People want to be able to relate to people that they see on screen, off screen, in any position of power. We want to be able to relate with that person. Like, okay, this person is representing who I am, what I stand for, and I will be able to relate really. But yeah, thanks for that. So what would through authentic inclusion and empowerment of women in the media from a career perspective look like in your opinion?
So I think authentic inclusion would mean, if you're looking at a gender's perspective, I think it, authentic inclusion would mean that any young girl can turn on the television, listen to the radio, or watch something online and see themselves in the person that's telling them that story. I think that's so important because inspiring the younger generation who are going to come up the ranks and become the present day workforce, you
Yeah.
need to you need to put those seeds down early, and by having them
Mhm.
from a young age see people like them do jobs that they're interested in, it's only going to encourage them to chase their dreams a little bit more. So
Absolutely.
putting those communities you serve into the spotlight, giving equal opportunities to everyone so that the industry is fair and representative of the world that's around us. But if you're talking in terms of empowerment, it's giving women the opportunity to try new things, not putting them in boxes and deciding their roles for them,
Mhm.
allowing them to try new areas, new jobs, look into new topics. That's only going to empower them to want to be better and to do better. And if you start that, it's a very, it can be a very small task and it's going to make huge impacts. And I think doing something like that and just allowing people to have that opportunity to explore new
And not
areas,
box them,
yeah,
basically.
not put them into boxes like some, it sadly is some of the case over the past decades. It's having that freedom to choose is going to allow us to make it a more inclusive industry as a
Inclusive.
whole.
Okay, great. So earlier I mentioned that you're co-chair of ITV's Diversity and Inclusion panel. So in your position as co-chair, the focus is to ensure online and TV coverage is more diverse and inclusive, right? Okay. So what do you feel needs to be done, and what positive changes have you seen in your time working in the media?
Well, my role as co-chair of ITV Channel's Diversity and Inclusion panel is so valuable to me. I was asked by my colleague Jess to join the team around 2 years ago, so not long after I'd started working in the newsroom. And they are such a refreshing bunch of people. They come from all walks of life, all ages, all genders, all races, all religions, and to have that group of people look at our work and give us constructive criticism about how we are going through our days, our coverage, what needs to change, what we're doing really well, is only a bonus for us, because we can only succeed if we have those communities telling us where we need to improve. So
Yeah.
what we normally do in terms of finding the changes and encouraging changes, we encourage our staff to think more inclusively when they're going out and doing their reports, when they're talking to people for interviews. We don't want to focus on religion, race, and disability as their full topic, because some of the communities feel that we may only approach them when it's a negative story in terms of racism or poverty and things like that. So we're very big on incidental diversity. That's the term that we use. So that's talking to everybody within every community about topics that affect everyone. So
Yeah.
looking at health stories, political stories, talking about the cost of living, topics that impact every person that lives in our patch. We want to talk to people who have a disability about what they think about the current political system in the Channel Islands. So, but not just focusing around their disability, because they are more than their disability. That's a big thing that we try to hit with our reporters, is like, do not put people, like we've said, in boxes
Yeah.
in terms of their characteristics. We should be empowering them to talk about things that are impacting them and that do impact everyone. Because by making small efforts, maybe it's one extra person a day, and it's only going to make our coverage more diverse going forward. So it's really important that we just make those small efforts every day, because one small effort one day is going to be a huge effort in a month's time, in 12 months.
Absolutely. Hmm. Okay. And how do you think this changes? Because you've mentioned a couple of changes. How do you think these changes will impact our women as seen in the world?
So I think showing more women in powerful public positions is only going to benefit the industry and how women see women. I think sometimes it's sad, women are pitted against each other and other women see other women as competition.
As
So I think
competitions.
we need to be backing, we're rallying around each other, and I think it's important for everyone to rally around each other. Everyone should be empowering everyone to do well and wanting everyone to succeed, because you can't survive in a world where everyone's fighting each other for the top spot. You should be wanting everyone to have fair, equal opportunities in order to bring success around you. So I think having more, if we're talking about the media industry and particularly, I think having more women on screen and in the media, the better it's going to encourage younger girls, like I mentioned, watching the TV or
Yeah.
watching something online and putting showing them that you can follow your passions. You don't have to become a certain person because
Hmm.
that's what society tells you. You should follow those dreams, try new things, and get stuck into roles that are typically male dominated, and those industries that maybe could be frowned upon by for having a woman join. So I think it's just reinforcing that message that if you're interested in something, you can do it,
Go
and just
for it.
really
Yeah.
encouraging young people that the world's the limit. You can do anything. And
Hmm.
I think a big thing with me is I do a lot of work with schools and going into secondary schools, primary schools,
Yeah.
colleges, universities, sharing my journey and what I get to do. And I think if I can use my job and my, at the moment, small platform, hopefully in years to come it would grow even bigger, to inspire one young person to follow their dreams and try something new, then that makes it all worth it for me, because I remember I had role models like that growing up, and to see people, some of whom I actually work with today, that I watched on the TV growing up, to have those
Yeah.
people backing me and wanting me to do well, I only want to do that for other people.
That's great. So you just said if you would like to inspire, even if it's just one person. So I'm gonna ask you a random question. If you have the opportunity to have a project to inspire young girls, basically, what's that one project? What is it that you would like to do?
Well, I think it's a kind of a project that I take on now, at the moment. So I I'm the leader of the school's outreach program, because I
Okay.
want more local people from the Channel Islands. Not many. When it comes to Channel Island journalists, I'm a bit of a rare breed. There's a lot of people
Mm.
from the UK in our newsrooms, but there's only me and one other girl that grew up in the Channel Islands. So I
Channel
like to
Islands.
get into local schools and to show local girls that in islands that are very heavy and very influenced on the finance sector, that you
Mm-hmm.
don't have to do something that you may hate and may find boring. You can do fun jobs here, and jobs that will bring you rewards and that will make you feel happy at the end of the working day. Because I think that's such a big importance, that many people, whether that's societal pressures or pressures from family, feel that you need to be doing a certain job just to appease others, but I don't think that's the way to live. So when I go into schools and give talks at colleges, universities, things like this, I think it's so important to reiterate that just give it a go. I think there's nothing stopping you. I mean, I when I graduated, I was going to go and become an accountant because that's what my parents wanted me to do. But
Mm.
I know that I had a little itch inside me that said I need to give this a go. And I was honest with my parents and I say, give me 6 months. I want to give it a go. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And then I have my answer. And I think it's time. We our lives don't go on for forever, but what's 6 months? 6 months to try something and see if that's what you want to do is absolutely nothing compared to doing a career for 20, 25 years and then going, I wish I gave that a shot when I was in my 20s. So I
Mm.
think that's like what I like to do and what I want to encourage people is
Mm.
just give it a go, and there's nothing stopping you.
Yeah, it's fantastic with the outreach you've been doing so far. It's amazing. And so far, you've advised our young self-identifying female to support each other, stand out, don't box themselves, and always go for what they want. So it's amazing you've shared this with us. Thank you so much for your time, Megan. I've learned it, too. And I'm hoping that everyone watching right now, in person, online, I'm hoping that they've learned as well. Thank you so much for, taking your time out to join us today. Because I think you're at work, right? You're at work right now.
Yes, yeah, I'm at work now, so thankfully
Really,
today wasn't an early rise, but yeah,
really.
working today. International Women's Day, so got to work hard.
Truly appreciate you taking your time out to talk to us. Thank you so much, Megan.
Thank
Um, so I'm gonna open the floor up to people that are watching in person and those that are online. If there are any questions, if anyone has questions to ask, we could just take one or two questions, if there's any. Okay. All right. So, Megan, the question we have is, in what areas would you like to see women excel in more?
I think women need to excel in themselves. I think confidence. I think we really can sometimes lack confidence. I say that from a personal perspective, even as
And
going
I
as
can
far as
relate.
this week I've had my own thoughts in my brain saying, are you
Yeah.
really good enough?
Hmm.
Do you know what you're doing? And all it takes is for you to fall victim to one of those thoughts, and it really can just spiral out of control and really cause damage to your self-belief. So I think excelling in your self-belief, backing yourself, trusting that you are on the right path and you know what you're doing, and as long as you're happy, that's no issue. So I think we just need to learn to be kinder to ourselves, to give ourselves a break. Like I said, no burnout, just really respecting your bodies and listening to
Yeah.
your health, your mind. And I think that's only going to bring success to people, because
Mm.
if we look after ourselves, back ourselves more, then we're all going to succeed, and you'll help others to succeed when you're
Yeah.
looking after yourself as well.
Yeah. So basically, personal care, mental health check, and then you will be able to excel in other fields as well. That's
Yeah, because you
amazing.
can't, unless you look after yourself, you
Yeah.
can't excel. You won't be able to work to your full
Hmm.
capacity. So it really it starts with you, and without looking after number one, you're not getting
Yeah.
anywhere else.
Hmm. And then talking about confidence, I actually like to use words of affirmation from time to time. So, because it's very easy for you to just shut down and then you start spiraling. So, like I said, when you were talking, I said I can relate. There's this time that you would have thoughts in your head and you're thinking, okay, I don't think I can do this. What I do personally is just stand in front of a mirror and then start saying words of affirmations to myself. Like, Mina, you can't do this. You are better than this. Do not listen to that voice. And then it just
Yeah,
takes me a few minutes and I'm back. I'm like, okay, yes, let's go.
yeah.
Let's do this.
I have an app on my phone that will like every day just feed
Mhm.
me a little quote, just, and it really puts things into perspective. But also in terms of like on my emails, I have a little folder in my emails that's called nice emails. So when I'm being mean to myself and I feel like I'm not doing my job well, I go into that
Mhm.
folder and I read
And
it, and
then read the emails.
yeah, and it brings it back, and you go, no, I am good at my job. I'm having a bad day, and everybody has bad days, because I think
That's
sometimes you
real.
can really bottle into that and just think one bad day is a bad career. And
Mhm.
if I did that and thought my first bad day was the end of the road, then I wouldn't have been doing this close
Mhm.
to anywhere as long as I have been now. It would have been done by the end of the first week. So I think just really making sure that you don't let one bad experience ruin everything for you.
Everything. Absolutely. All right. I think that's the only question we had. So thank you so much for joining us again, Megan. I'm gonna let you get back to work and enjoy the rest of your day. Okay. Again, don't
Thank
forget to relax when there's time to reset. And I hope we get to catch up some other time. Thank you so much,
Yes,
Megan. And thank you to everyone that's watching online, to everyone in here in person. Thank you for taking your time out to, join us today. Yeah, have a lovely day, Megan.
thank you
Bye.
so much for having me. Bye bye.
Sure. Yeah.